The space around Earth was quiet that Tuesday morning. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the UES Liberty, drinking his third cup of coffee. The orbital defense station slowly turned around the blue planet below. Jake had been watching Earth's skies for 12 years, and nothing interesting ever happened up here. Lisa Grant looked up from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she checked the morning reports. Everything was normal. Satellites were working fine. No space junk was heading toward Earth. Just another boring day in orbit. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings," Lisa said, her voice suddenly tense. Jake put down his coffee cup and walked over to her station. "What kind of readings?" Lisa's face went pale as she stared at her screen. "Sir, something big is coming out of hyperspace, really big." The main screen at the front of the bridge lit up with bright flashes of light. Jake watched in shock as massive ships began appearing in the darkness of space. First one, then 10, then 50. The ships kept coming, more and more of them, until the space above Earth was filled with alien warships. "Count them," Jake ordered, his mouth dry with fear. 212 ships, sir. The biggest one is 15 miles long." Lisa's hands shook as she worked. "They're not like anything in our databases." The alien ships were dark red and black, with sharp edges that looked like dragon teeth. Their hulls glowed with strange energy, and weapons ports covered their surfaces like scales on a snake. At the front of the fleet was the largest ship Jake had ever seen. It was shaped like a giant arrowhead with towers rising from its back like the spines of some terrible beast. "Get me the president," Jake said. "Now." Down on Earth, President Alex Coleman was eating breakfast when his secure phone rang. He answered it quickly, knowing that early morning calls meant trouble. "Mr. President, this is Captain Morrison on the Liberty. We have a situation. Alien ships have appeared over Earth. Lots of them." Alex dropped his fork. "How many is lots?" "Over 200. Sir, they're military ships, heavily armed. The biggest fleet we've ever seen." Alex felt his stomach drop. He had always known this day might come, but he had hoped it would be peaceful contact. These ships didn't look peaceful. "I'll be in the situation room in 10 minutes. Keep watching them." In his underground bunker beneath a mountain in Colorado, Dr. Kevin Brooks was working late when the alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed throughout the secret facility as soldiers ran through the hallways. Kevin had been working on Project Aegis for 8 years, hoping he would never need to use it. General Frank Hayes burst into Kevin's lab. "Doc, we need those quantum generators online right now." Kevin looked up from his computer. "They're not ready for testing. We don't even know if they work properly." "We're about to find out. Alien warships just showed up over every major city on Earth. The president wants all options on the table." Meanwhile, on the flagship of the alien fleet, Admiral Zektar stood on his command bridge looking down at the blue and green planet below. His red scales gleamed under the ship's lights, and his yellow eyes showed no mercy. The humans had resources his empire needed, and they looked too weak to fight back. "Send the message," Zektar ordered his communications officer. Back on the Liberty, Lisa's equipment suddenly came alive with signals. An alien voice spoke in perfect English, cold and threatening. "Humans of Earth. I am Admiral Zektar of the Draconian Imperial Fleet. Your planet is now under our control. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons, open all cities to our forces, resist, and we will turn your world to ash." The message repeated 3 times. Then the alien ships went silent. Jake stared at the fleet above. Earth. Each ship bristled with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Earth's small defense fleet was no match for this overwhelming force. The aliens had come to conquer, not to talk. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "I'm picking up movement from the alien fleet. Some of their smaller ships are moving toward Earth's atmosphere." Jake watched as sleek alien fighters broke away from the main fleet. They swooped down toward Earth like hunting birds, scanning the planet's defenses. Earth's few patrol ships moved to intercept them, but the alien fighters were faster and more advanced. In the White House Situation Room, President Alex Coleman sat at a long table with his top advisors. Defense Secretary Maria Torres spread out reports showing Earth's military strength compared to the alien fleet. The numbers were not good. "They have us outgunned 1,000 to 1, Maria said. "Our best weapons are like throwing rocks at tanks." General Hayes appeared on the video, screened from his mountain bunker. "Mr. President, Dr. Brooks says the quantum generators might work, but he can't promise anything. We've never tested them on this scale." Alex looked around the room at his advisors. Some wanted to fight. Others said they should surrender and hope the aliens would show mercy. But Alex had read the intelligence reports about other worlds the Draconians had conquered. They didn't show mercy. "What exactly do these quantum generators do?" Alex asked. Dr. Brooks appeared on another screen, his face tired but determined. "They create fields that bend space and time, Mr. President. We built them as emergency shelters, places where people could hide if Earth became unlivable. But they might work as weapons too." "Might work. The theory is sound, but we've only tested small versions. If we're wrong, nothing happens. If we're right..." Kevin paused. The alien. Ships could disappear entirely. Above Earth, Admiral Zektar watched his fighters return from their scouting mission. The human defenses were even weaker than expected. Tomorrow, he would begin the real attack and show these primitive creatures the power of the Draconian Empire. It would be over quickly, and then his emperor would have another world to add to their growing collection. But deep in his mountain bunker, Dr. Kevin Brooks was preparing something the galaxy had never seen before. The 72 hours passed like a nightmare. People around the world watched the dark alien ships hanging in their skies like storm clouds. In New York, London, Tokyo, and every major city, the massive warships blocked out the sun. Children cried in the streets. Adults prayed in churches, mosques, and temples. Everyone waited for the end. Sergeant Amy Powell stood on the roof of Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado, looking up at the Draconian ship floating above Colorado Springs. The alien vessel was 2 miles long and covered in weapons. Its red hull pulsed with energy that made her skin crawl. She had been a soldier for 10 years, but she had never felt so helpless. "They're beautiful in a terrible way," said Lieutenant Bob Martinez, standing next to her. "Like watching a tornado come toward your house." Amy nodded but said nothing. In 3 hours, the alien deadline would end. Everyone knew what would happen next. The ships would start firing, and Earth's cities would burn. Deep underground, Dr. Kevin Brooks worked frantically in his laboratory. Sweat dripped from his face as he typed commands into his computer. The quantum field generators were spread across the globe, hidden beneath major cities. Each one was the size of a small building, powered by fusion reactors that had cost billions of dollars to build. "Status report," General Hayes demanded, walking into the lab with mud on his boots. He had been moving between bunkers all night, coordinating Earth's hopeless defense. "The generators are online," Kevin said without looking up from his screen. "All 47 sites are connected to the network. But I have to warn you again, General. We don't know what will happen when we turn them on. Will they protect our cities?" Kevin stopped typing and looked at the general with tired eyes. "They weren't built as shields. They create pockets of twisted space-time. Anything caught inside those pockets will be cut off from normal reality. In simple words, Doc, the alien ships might disappear, or they might not, or something worse might happen. I honestly don't know." On the flagship Crimson Fang, Admiral Zektar prepared for the attack. His red scales gleamed as he walked through the corridors of his ship. Draconian soldiers bowed as he passed. They all knew that today would be easy. The humans had sent no surrender message. They would learn the price of defying the Empire. "All ships, prepare for bombardment." Zektar spoke into his communications device. "Target population centers first. Break their spirit, then we take their resources." Captain Jake Morrison watched from the Liberty as the alien fleet began to move. The massive ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere like falling mountains, their weapons charged up, glowing brighter and brighter. Jake had evacuated most of his crew to the planet's surface, but he stayed behind with a skeleton team to record humanity's last moments. "Sir, the President is on the emergency channel," Lisa Grant said from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jake could see her hands shaking. President Alex Coleman's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the Situation Room was full of generals and advisors, all watching computer displays showing the alien fleet's movements. "Captain Morrison, are you still up there?" the president asked. "Yes, sir. We're recording everything. For whoever finds Earth after we're gone." Alex nodded sadly. "Dr. Brooks is about to activate the quantum generators. We don't know what will happen, but it's our only chance. Get your people to the escape pods." "Understood, Mr. President." "Good luck." The screen went dark. Jake looked around his bridge at the few crew members who had stayed with him. "You heard the man. Everyone to the escape pods except Lisa and me." "I'm staying too, Captain," said Chief Engineer Roy Phillips. "If this is the end, I want to see it from here." Down in Colorado, Dr. Kevin Brooks placed his hand on the activation switch. Through the bunker's thick walls, he could hear the rumble of the alien ship passing overhead. Emergency lights bathed the control room in red light as alarms rang throughout the facility. "All stations report ready," called out his assistant, Dr. Sam Turner. "Quantum field generators are synchronized and powered up." Kevin took a deep breath. This technology had taken humanity's best scientists 15 years to develop. They had built it to save people, not to fight wars. But sometimes tools meant for peace had to be used for war. Activating quantum field network in 10 seconds, Kevin announced over the global emergency channel. Around the world, people looked up at the alien ships above their cities. In New York, the massive Draconian dreadnought was firing up its main weapons. In London, smaller ships were moving into attack positions. In Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, and Paris, the same scene was playing out. The aliens were ready to turn Earth into a graveyard. 5 seconds. Kevin counted down. Admiral Zektar stood on his command bridge watching the human city below through the ship's viewports. The creatures down there were running through their streets like ants. Soon, those streets would be rivers of fire. 3 seconds. Amy Powell closed her eyes on the rooftop in Colorado. She could hear the alien ship's engines getting louder as it moved closer to the city. 2 seconds. President Coleman gripped the arms of his chair in the Situation Room. Everyone held their breath. 1 second. Jake Morrison watched from orbit as every alien ship above Earth began to glow with a strange blue light. Activating now. Kevin Brooks pushed the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien ships continued their descent. Their weapons continued charging. Admiral Zektar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Then reality twisted. Space around each alien ship began to bend and fold like paper being crumpled up. The air itself seemed to crack. Blue energy spread out from hidden points around the globe, creating impossible geometric patterns in the sky. One by one, the Draconian ships simply vanished. Not destroyed, not exploded, just gone. The massive flagship above New York folded in on itself and disappeared into a point of light. The dreadnought over London twisted out of existence like smoke in the wind. In seconds, the entire fleet was gone. Admiral Zektar felt his ship shaking around him. His instruments went crazy, showing readings that made no sense. Through the viewports, he could see stars bending into impossible shapes. Then everything went white. On Earth, people looked up at empty skies. The alien ships were gone. No wreckage fell from the heavens. No explosions lit up the darkness. The invasion fleet had simply ceased to exist. Amy Powell opened her eyes and saw a blue sky where moments before, there had been a massive alien warship. She started laughing and crying at the same time. In his bunker, Dr. Kevin Brooks stared at his instruments in amazement. The quantum generators had worked perfectly. The alien ships had been transported into pocket dimensions where they would be trapped forever. News anchor Tony Clark spoke to the world from his studio in Atlanta, his voice full of wonder and disbelief. "Ladies and gentlemen, the impossible has happened. The alien invasion fleet has vanished completely. Earth is safe. Humanity has survived. We don't know how, but we've won." The news of the vanished Draconian fleet spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On dozens of worlds, alien civilizations that had never heard of Earth suddenly knew its name. Within hours, every major power in the galaxy was trying to understand what had happened to Admiral Zektar and his mighty armada. On the Draconian homeworld of Drakmor, Emperor Vexthul sat on his throne of black metal and red gems. His massive form filled the chair, scales darker than space itself. Around him, his advisors whispered in fear and confusion. No one had ever made a Draconian fleet simply disappear before. Commander Silrex, the Emperor's intelligence chief, knelt before the throne. Her normally confident voice shook as she delivered her report. "My lord, all contact with Admiral Zektar's fleet was lost at exactly 1400 hours, Earth time. Our long-range sensors show no debris, no energy, signatures, nothing. The entire fleet vanished without a trace." Emperor Vexthul's yellow eyes blazed with anger. 200 ships do not simply vanish, Commander. Someone destroyed them. That's what we thought at first, my lord. But we've analyzed every second of sensor data from our spy satellites in that system. The human ships never fired a single shot. There was no battle, no explosions. The fleet was there one moment, gone the next. The Emperor's claws scraped against his throne. In 3,000 years of conquest, the Draconian Empire had never lost an entire fleet. They were the strongest military force in the galaxy. Other races feared them, bowed to them, paid tribute to avoid their wrath. "What do we know about these humans?" Vexthul demanded. "They're a young species, my lord. They've barely left their home system. Their technology seemed primitive compared to ours, but..." Silrex hesitated. "But what?" "Something on that planet made our ships disappear. We don't know what, but it's beyond anything we've seen before." Across the galaxy, other civilizations were having similar conversations. In the crystal palaces of the Zenthari Confederation, Ambassador Cleth called an emergency session of the High Council. The Zenthari were an old and wise race who preferred peace to war, but they understood the implications of what had happened. "Honored counselors," Cleth spoke to the gathered aliens, his blue skin shimmering under the chamber's lights. "A new power has emerged in the galaxy. The species called humans have demonstrated an ability we do not understand. They made the Draconian fleet cease to exist. The oldest counselor, a being whose name translated roughly as He Who Remembers, the first stars, leaned forward in his chair. Are we certain the Draconians are gone? Perhaps they retreated. Our sensors detected no hyperspace jumps, no energy signatures indicating retreat. The ships were simply there, then not there. It suggests technology beyond our current understanding. Another counselor spoke up. Should we be afraid of these humans? Cleth considered the question carefully. I think we should be very careful around them. Any species that can make fleets vanish is not to be taken lightly. On the industrial world of Corinth Prime, the hegemony of Vorth held their own emergency meeting. The Vorth were master engineers and scientists, builders of the galaxy's most advanced technology. Their leader, Archon Thexmore, studied the sensor readings with growing concern. The energy patterns don't match any known weapon system, he told his research team. Whatever the humans used, it operates on principles we haven't discovered yet. Chief Scientist Veldara pulled up holographic displays showing the moment of the fleet's disappearance. Look at these quantum fluctuations, Archon. The space around each ship became unstable, then collapsed. It's as if reality itself rejected their presence. Impossible, another scientist argued. No one can manipulate space-time on that scale. Apparently, someone can, Veldara replied. The question is whether they did it on purpose or by accident. Back on Earth, Dr. Kevin Brooks was asking himself the same question. He sat in his laboratory surrounded by computers showing data from the quantum generators. The readings were unlike anything he had ever seen. The generators had worked far beyond their designed capacity. Captain Jake Morrison visited the lab, still amazed to be alive. He had watched the alien fleet vanish from his orbital station, and he needed to understand how humanity had survived. Dr. Brooks, can you explain what happened up there? Jake asked. Kevin rubbed his tired eyes. Honestly, Captain, I'm not entirely sure. The quantum generators created localized distortions in space-time. The alien ships got caught in those distortions and were transported to what we call pocket dimensions. Are they dead? No, that's the strange part. The ships still exist, just not in our reality. They're trapped in spaces where time moves differently. For us, they've been gone for hours. For them, it might feel like months or years. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. You mean they're still alive in there? The crews should be fine physically, but psychologically? Kevin shook his head. Being cut off from normal space-time, knowing you can't get home, watching your instruments show impossible readings day after day, it would drive anyone insane. Lieutenant Beth Crawford, Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, had been listening from the doorway. She stepped into the lab, her face pale with worry. Dr. Brooks, if other alien races learn what we've done, how do you think they'll react? Kevin looked up at her. What do you mean? Think about it from their perspective. We didn't just defeat the Draconian fleet. We made it disappear in a way that suggests we can manipulate the basic laws of physics. To them, we're not just another military power. We're something that can reach out and erase them from existence. The full implications hit everyone in the room at the same time. Earth hadn't just won a battle. They had demonstrated an ability that would terrify every civilization in the galaxy. Colonel Pete Jackson, the military liaison to Project Aegis, spoke from the lab's communication screen. Dr. Brooks, we're picking up a lot of alien chatter on our deep space monitors. Ships from at least 6 different species are heading toward our solar system. Friendly or hostile? Jake asked. Unknown, but they're all military vessels. Doctor. Brooks stood up and walked to the window of his underground laboratory. Even through the thick concrete and steel, he could feel the weight of the world above him. Humanity had wanted to hide from the galaxy, to build defenses that would let them retreat if Earth became uninhabitable. Instead, they had revealed themselves as a power that could make entire fleets simply stop existing. We need to prepare for more visitors, Kevin said quietly. Word is spreading that Earth is the place where the mighty Draconian fleet vanished without a trace. Every alien government will want to know how we did it. Beth Crawford nodded grimly. Some will want to be our friends. Others will want to destroy us before we can make them disappear too. Jake Morrison looked at the scientists around him. So what do we do now? Kevin Brooks stared at his quantum field readings, watching the subtle energy patterns that proved the Draconian ships were still trapped in their pocket dimensions. Somewhere in those twisted spaces, Admiral Zektar and his crews were discovering what it meant to be completely cut off from reality. Now we figure out how to survive being the most feared civilization in the galaxy, Kevin said, because whether we wanted it or not, that's what we've become. Outside the bunker, Earth's blue skies were clear and peaceful. But across the galaxy, alien fleets were already moving toward the small yellow star where something impossible had happened. The humans had made the Draconians disappear, and now everyone wanted to know how. 3 weeks after the Draconian fleet vanished, Earth's skies filled with alien ships again. But this time they came in small groups, flying different flags and broadcasting peaceful messages. The galaxy had come to Earth not to conquer, but to understand. Captain Roy Phillips stood on the bridge of the newly built UES Guardian, Earth's first real warship designed after the Draconian incident. Through the viewports, he could see 12 different alien vessels waiting in orbit. Some looked like crystal flowers, others like metal beetles, and a few resembled nothing he could name. Intelligence report from Earth Command, said Lieutenant Claire Watson, the ship's new intelligence officer. She was young but sharp, picked specifically to decode alien communications and intentions. The peaceful Kalari delegation wants to establish an embassy. The Zenthari want a trade agreement. But the Score Empire ships are just watching us. Roy nodded grimly. The Score worried him most. They were known throughout the galaxy as warriors, who respected only strength. If they decided Earth was too dangerous to exist, they would attack without warning. What about the ship that arrived this morning? Roy asked. Still no response to our communications. It's just sitting there scanning our defenses. Down on Earth, Dr. Kevin Brooks had not slept properly in weeks. His laboratory had become the most important place on the planet. World leaders, generals, and scientists came to him daily, all asking the same questions. How did the quantum generators work? Could they be used again? Were the trapped Draconians still alive? The last question haunted Kevin the most. His assistant, Dr. Sam Turner, had been monitoring the pocket dimensions. Where the Draconian fleet was trapped, the readings were disturbing. "Dr. Brooks, you need to see this," Sam said, pointing to his computer screen. "I've been tracking time dilation effects in the pocket dimensions. For every hour that passes here, the trapped crews experience about 3 days." Kevin felt sick to his stomach. That means they've been trapped for what feels like months to them. Worse than that, the psychological profiles we've built suggest most of the crews are suffering from severe mental breakdown. Admiral Zektar himself has been sending desperate messages into empty space begging for rescue. Kevin sat down heavily in his chair. He had built the quantum generators to save humanity, not to torture alien soldiers. Can we bring them back? Theoretically, yes, but if we do, they'll be insane with rage and desperation, and we'd be showing weakness to every alien power watching us. The moral weight of the situation pressed down on Kevin like a mountain. Somewhere in twisted space-time, thousands of Draconian soldiers were slowly going mad while he struggled with the decision of whether to help them. General Frank Hayes entered the lab, his face grim with new concerns. "Dr. Brooks, we have a problem. The Score Empire has sent Warlord Gask to our system. He's not here to talk." Kevin looked up from his calculations. "What does he want?" "Intelligence suggests he's testing our defenses. The Score believe in striking first against potential threats. If Gask decides we're too dangerous to live, he'll call in the full Score battle fleet." Meanwhile, on the peaceful world of Kalari Prime, Envoy Ythara prepared for her historic mission to Earth. The Kalari were an ancient race of tall, graceful beings who valued wisdom above warfare. They had watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations, but they had never seen anything like what happened to the Draconian fleet. "The humans intrigue me," Ythara told her aide as she boarded her diplomatic ship. "They possess terrible power, yet their initial response was defensive rather than aggressive. Perhaps they can be reasoned with." Her aide, a younger Kalari named Senthulo, looked worried. "What if they decide we're a threat? What if they make our ship disappear too?" Ythara smiled gently. "Then we will discover what lies beyond normal spacetime. But I believe the humans are more frightened than frightening." Back in Earth's orbit, the tension was growing. Captain Roy Phillips received reports that more alien ships were arriving daily. Some came openly, broadcasting their peaceful intentions. Others lurked at the edge of the solar system, watching and waiting. "Captain, we're getting a priority message from Earth Command," Claire Watson announced. "President Coleman wants to speak with you directly." The president's face appeared on the main screen, looking older than he had just weeks ago. The stress of leading humanity through its first contact with multiple alien civilizations was taking its toll. "Captain Phillips, how are our guests behaving up there?" "Most seem genuinely peaceful, Mr. President. But the Score ship has been probing our defenses, and we've detected at least 6 cloaked vessels hiding in the asteroid belt. Dr. Brooks thinks he can release the trapped Draconians safely. He wants to do it as a gesture of goodwill." Roy felt his blood run cold. "Sir, with respect, that might be the worst possible timing. We have a dozen alien powers watching us right now. If we show mercy to our enemies, some of them might see it as weakness. And if we don't, they might see us as monsters who torture prisoners." The president was right, and Roy knew it. Earth was walking a tightrope between appearing too weak and too strong. Either extreme could lead to disaster. On the Score battleship Bloodfang, Warlord Gask studied the tactical displays, showing Earth's defenses. The Score were a warrior race, tall and muscular with skin like armor plating. Gask had conquered 17 worlds for the Score Empire, and he understood the art of war better than most beings in the galaxy. "The humans have only a few hundred ships," his tactical officer reported. "Their technology is adequate but not exceptional, yet they destroyed the Draconian fleet without firing a shot." Gask nodded slowly. "Which means they have a weapon we cannot see. something that can reach out and destroy our ships without warning. Should we retreat, Warlord? Retreat? Gask's laugh was like grinding stone. The score do not retreat, but we also do not attack what we do not understand. We wait and watch. Let other fools test the humans' defenses first. Dr. Kevin Brooks made his decision that evening as he watched the sun set through his laboratory window. The moral burden of keeping thousands of beings trapped in twisted space-time was too heavy to bear. He would find a way to release the Draconians safely, even if it meant showing the galaxy that humanity could be merciful. Sam, start preparing the release protocols, he told his assistant. We're going to bring them back. Are you sure? The political implications are less important than our humanity, Kevin finished. If we become monsters to survive, then what's the point of surviving? As night fell over Earth, alien ships continued to arrive in the solar system. Some came as friends, others as potential enemies, and many with motives unknown. The small blue planet that had once been ignored by the galaxy had become the center of galactic attention. In the quantum pocket dimensions, Admiral Zektar sat in his command chair, staring at readings that made no sense. His crew moved like ghosts through the ship's corridors, many of them talking to themselves or seeing things that weren't there. The proud Draconian fleet had become a collection of broken minds trapped in impossible space. But Admiral Zektar still had enough sanity left to wonder, would the humans show mercy to their enemies, or would they leave the fleet trapped forever as a warning to other potential invaders? The answer would determine not just the fate of the Draconian crews, but the future relationship between Earth and the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the Draconian fleet vanished above Earth. The small blue planet had become the most watched world in the galaxy. Trade ships, diplomatic vessels, and spy craft arrived daily, all trying to understand the humans who could make entire fleets disappear. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the conference room of Earth's first space station, dedicated to alien relations. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from a dozen different worlds floating peacefully in orbit. The sight still amazed him. 6 months ago, he had been a simple patrol captain. Now he was Earth's first ambassador to the stars. Beside him stood Ambassador Dan Foster, a former diplomat who had volunteered for the most dangerous job in human history. Today they would attend the first Galactic Council meeting that included Earth as a member. The other races had invited humanity not out of friendship, but out of fear and curiosity. Are you ready for this? Dan asked, adjusting his formal Earth uniform. Jake nodded, though his stomach was full of butterflies. As ready as anyone can be for making first contact with the entire galaxy. Their advisor, Dr. Lucy Chen, looked up from her notes about alien customs and languages. Remember, the key is to appear confident but not threatening. We want them to respect us without fearing us so much that they unite against us. The irony was not lost on any of them. Earth had become the galaxy's most feared neutral power by accident. No one attacked humanity because no one knew how the quantum field technology worked. But no one trusted them either, which made diplomacy incredibly difficult. On the observation deck of the station, Dr. Kevin Brooks watched the preparations with mixed feelings. In his hand, he held a small device that could activate the quantum field generators around the entire solar system. Earth's leaders had given him the authority to protect humanity by any means necessary, even if it meant making attacking fleets vanish like the Draconians. Dr. Sam Turner joined him at the window. Second thoughts about today? Every day I have. Second thoughts, Kevin replied. Do you know what the other scientists call me now? The man who broke physics, the human who makes ships disappear. I just wanted to build emergency shelters. But instead you saved our entire species. Kevin sighed, and doomed thousands of Draconian soldiers to madness in the process. That morning, after months of debate, Kevin had finally made the decision to release the trapped Draconian fleet. The quantum generators had been recalibrated to bring the ships back to normal spacetime. It would be humanity's first major diplomatic gesture to the galaxy. The Galactic Council met on a massive space station called Unity 1, located in neutral space between several major civilizations. As Jake and Dan's ship approached the station, they could see hundreds of alien vessels docked at its ports. The station itself was beautiful, built from crystal and metal in flowing organic shapes that seemed to grow rather than be constructed. Inside the council chamber, representatives from 43 different species waited for the humans to arrive. The chamber was enormous, with seating arranged in circles that rose toward a domed ceiling showing the stars. Each species had their own environmental controls, creating a rainbow of different atmospheric conditions throughout the room. Envoy Ithara of the Kalari sat in the front row, her tall, graceful form draped in robes that shimmered like starlight. She had spent weeks on Earth, learning about human culture and psychology. Of all the alien representatives, she understood humanity best. Warlord Gask of the Score Empire stood rather than sat, his armored form intimidating even in a room full of diverse alien warriors. He had been testing Earth's defenses for months, probing for weaknesses in the quantum field network. So far, he had found none. Emperor Vexthul of the Draconians appeared by hologram, his massive form too large for physical attendance. His yellow eyes burned with hatred and curiosity. He wanted his fleet back, but he also wanted to understand the technology that had taken it away. When Jake Morrison and Dan Foster entered the chamber, a hush fell over the assembled aliens. Hundreds of different types of eyes focused on the two humans as they walked to the seats reserved for Earth's delegation. Jake felt the weight of representing his entire species. The council's leader, an ancient being called the Moderator, spoke in a voice that translated perfectly into every language present. We welcome the humans of Earth to this gathering. You come to us as a new member of the galactic community, but also as possessors of technology that has impressed us all. Jake stood to address the council. His voice carried clearly through the chamber's translation systems. Honored representatives, we come in peace. Earth seeks friendship and cooperation with all civilized worlds. Yet you hold our fleet prisoner, Emperor Vexthul's hologram hissed. The might of the Draconian Empire vanished at your hands. We demand their return. Jake had prepared for this moment. Your Majesty, we are prepared to return your fleet today, as a gesture of goodwill and proof that Earth values mercy over vengeance. A murmur of surprise ran through the chamber. Many of the aliens had expected the humans to keep the Draconian fleet as leverage or to demonstrate their power. Warlord Gask stepped forward, his voice like grinding metal. This is either great wisdom or great foolishness. The Draconians came to destroy your world. Why show them mercy? Dan Foster answered this time. Because we believe that mercy is stronger than fear, and forgiveness is more powerful than revenge. We hope to show the galaxy that Earth can be trusted with the power we possess. Dr. Lucy Chen activated a communication device that connected directly to Kevin Brooks on Earth. Dr. Brooks, please proceed with the release protocol. Back on Earth, Kevin stood in his laboratory surrounded by the quantum field controls. With a deep breath, he began the sequence that would bring the Draconian fleet back to normal space-time. Initiating dimensional fold collapse, the fleet will return in 30 seconds. In the council chamber, every representative watched the main display screen showing the space above Earth. For months, that space had been empty except for human and diplomatic ships. Suddenly, reality twisted again. The same blue energy patterns that had made the Draconian fleet disappear now brought it back. One by one, the dark red ships materialized above Earth, their hulls still gleaming with alien technology. But something was different. The ships drifted without purpose, their formation broken and chaotic. Emergency signals flooded the communication channels as the Draconian crews realized they were free from their dimensional prison. Emperor Vexthul's hologram leaned forward, his scaled face showing concern. What is the condition of my fleet? Jake Morrison answered honestly. Your Majesty, time moved differently in the pocket dimensions. For your crews, months passed while only hours passed for us. Many of them have suffered psychological trauma from the experience. Admiral Zektar's voice came through the communication system, weak and broken. My Emperor, we have returned, but we are not the same. The humans, they showed us mercy, we did not deserve. The Draconian Emperor's expression changed from anger to something approaching respect. You could have left them trapped forever. Why release them? Because that's not who we are, Jake replied simply. Earth makes mistakes, but we try to learn from them. We don't want to be feared as monsters. We want to be known as people who choose to do the right thing, even when it's difficult. Envoy Yathara stood gracefully. The humans have shown wisdom beyond their years. They possess great power, yet they choose restraint. This is the mark of a species worthy of trust. Warlord Gask growled his agreement. The score respect strength, but we also respect honor. The humans have both. Over the following hours, the Galactic Council voted to accept Earth as a full member of the galactic community. Trade agreements were signed, diplomatic relations were established, and cultural exchange programs were planned. But more importantly, the galaxy had learned something about humanity that would define their relationship for generations to come. Earth possessed technology that could make entire fleets vanish, but they also possessed the wisdom to use that power with restraint and mercy. As the council session ended, Dr. Kevin Brooks received a message from Admiral Zektar. The Draconian commander, broken by his experience but humbled by humanity's mercy, requested a meeting to discuss peace between their species. Standing in his laboratory, surrounded by the quantum field generators that had accidentally made Earth a galactic power, Kevin smiled for the first time in months. Humanity had learned that sometimes the greatest strength came not from the ability to destroy enemies, but from the courage to forgive them. The galaxy would remember the day the Draconian fleet vanished, but they would remember even more the day humanity chose to bring them home.